You can do a lot with the resources that you have. You don't need everything to be perfect. You just need to look at what you have. I'm going to give is hopefully share some personal thoughts that might help you and give you some clarity in scaling your business. So after we learned about networking and the power of networking, we learned about a lot of positive vibes, and I mean, how great were these videos? And Dr. Sim about the, history of Fiada. I guess I'm coming from a maybe more grounded place on really looking at businesses. Now I'm looking at all these experiences in the room, and I'm hoping to give you a little bit clarity on your pathway on how you can grow, which is why we're all here today. Speaking on pathway, I'm going to start at the very beginning of mine. So I'm born and raised in the German Democratic Republic, the GDR, a country that no longer exists. So I spent the first 10 years of my life growing up there. And it was very different to this world. So we had all the basics, but our baseline was very simple. We certainly had food, but we didn't have choices. And when something broke, we couldn't just go and replace it. We actually had to find ways to fix it. And what that really taught me is you can do a lot with the resources that you have. You don't need everything to be perfect. You just need to look at what you have and look at where you want to go, achieve your goal, and work with that. Second part of my childhood, well, the GDR no longer exists today. It collapsed. Why did it collapse? Well, there's a lot of rumors out there about ideology, but the real reason is economics. It went bankrupt. It had no more money. And one thing about the GDR is we had 100% employment rate. So everyone was employed, but we only had about 20% productivity. And to me, that's been a really important lesson in my life for business, because if you fake the numbers, and if you don't have any accountability, and if you just, wish for the best, you're not going to achieve anything, which leads me to the first point I want to make. So in order to scale your business, you need to have commercial clarity. Revenue is vanity, but margin is sanity. So there's no point growing a business and, growing your top line if you're losing your money down the bottom. And everyone probably knows this. And I found with a lot of the businesses I worked with, and went through some mergers and acquisitions as well, and existing businesses, a lot of businesses have a really hard time to understand their numbers, to tell me what is the gross margin by customer. Because they have a customer service team to service them all, and they don't actually know how much time they spend on each customer. And what we often find, you might spend hours on this one client, on this one shipment who hasn't got their documentations right. Well, then you have this other customer who has 20, containers on an ocean bill, and they know what to do. Their docs is right, it's all automated and super simple. So the first thing we all need to do, to scale is actually understand your numbers, have commercial clarity, because volume without profitability is not growth. It's pressure, and it can create something chaotic and make it in a really, really big chaos instead. So that takes me, to the second part, which is operational alignment. You can only polish what is built well. Now, my husband is an IT guy and a musician, and he's really a perfectionist. He's been sent a professionally recorded song to master it, like to make all the levels equal. I don't even know what that means exactly, but to make it basically ready for production. And he also has all these musician friends who like to record stuff in their garage. Now, when he gets a recorded song from a friend done in a garage, he can spend hours and hours and hours in trying to make it good. But it's still really just noise, because there's certain things you just can't make good. But when he got this professional recording, it took him an hour, and the outcome was amazing. Well, it's the same with cooking. If you have really good ingredients, a nice Australian steak, all you have to do is add a little bit salt, put it on a barbecue, and it's an amazing meal. Well, if you have something that's slightly off, and it's really hard to make a good meal of it. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is you need to have your foundations right. Your ingredients, your systems, your data, your processes, your standards, your operational rhythms. So before you can scale, you need to make sure you have your ducks in a row. You know your numbers, you know where you make margins, and then you know who does what in the business. Otherwise, as you get bigger, people get confused and things break. I guess takes me to my last point. It's power of leadership, courage, and the discipline of saying no. Now, a lot of my career I spent in sales, and my first answer when a customer asks me, can you do this, is yes. But, all right? So the important thing is, once you understand what you're good at, that's what you want to do. That's where you want to scale, that's where you want to grow. And everything else should be noise. So if someone comes to you and says, oh, I have this opportunity, can you do this for me? Well, maybe you need to say no, because you're going to divert your resources and, distract yourself. So in the business I'm working in at the moment, we have warehousing, for instance, and for certain things we need an accreditation, like a dangerous goods license, for pharmaceuticals a license. These are all really expensive. I might have this really good opportunity, but I just don't have the bandwidth to deal with all the foundations that need to be done. So my answer might still be yes to the customer, but it's a yes, but here are the costs. This is what it takes me. I need to get additional resources. I need to have this, and this. I need to hire someone to focus on this because it's taking me from my, business away, what I'm trying to do. And what you focus on gets done. So I guess it's the leadership courage to say no, to know when to say no, or to put conditions on your yes, all right? I'm very bad reading off, scripts. So I guess what I'm, in closing, trying to bring across to all of you, if you want to scale, get clarity, understand where your margins are. Margins is sanity. That's what helps you scale. Then get your ingredients right, get your systems right, understand your data, have the right people in the right places, and then learn to say yes with conditions or no at the right time as well. Thank you for your attention.